Well, that is a tough presentation to follow. So I think that's incredible work. I always wanted to talk to a room like this, 600 people, and got the opportunity today. Lucky for you guys, we get to talk about testicles, so let's go from there. We've been working with Movember, I think many of you may know it, based on their November Grow Mustache project for the last few years. Last April, they asked us to get involved with their Testicular Cancer Awareness Month in April. And this is a tough project. How do you get people to care? So, what we know is that men's health is in a state of crisis, right? Men just don't take care of themselves. And when you look at the stats, it's humbling, right? Like men die 6 years earlier than women. And that's a trend that has continued for years and years and years. What we also see is that the rate of testicular cancer is increasing, right? You're 2 times more likely today than we were 50 years ago, right? So this isn't a problem where better nutrition and better care and more awareness is really helping. We haven't really stopped the problem. And I think there's a variety of reasons, but we'll dive into those. Prostate cancer, another area that disproportionately affects men. Again, we're looking at this. There's a 2-time increase in the next 15 years we're predicting. So what do we have? We have a problem, and it's in 3 parts. The first is I have an audience that thinks they're invincible. Testicular cancer affects men 24 to 35 at its highest. And you can't get them to go to doctors, you can't get them to sort of care. They think they're invincible. Testicular cancer doesn't have huge awareness, right? When we look at it, I think we're all familiar with the work the Komen Foundation has done with the pink ribbons and the sports integrations. St. Jude's does incredible work, and even like the Truth Initiative that work to sort of tobacco-free lives, reduce the incidence of lung cancer. We are just, the bottom 5th of awareness. And then also, nobody knows how to test. Nobody knows how to do self-diagnosis. People don't think about this, right? So how do we, as an agency, get this audience that doesn't care, doesn't know it's a problem, and even if they got over those 2 hurdles, they don't know how to self-diagnose, right? So that's the big problem. And I think that what Movember has done is they've always been good about being outside the box. They've been good about sort of saying billboards and TV spots and those type of things. It won't work. They've always wanted to be the face of men's cancer, right? What's the best way to be the face? Have your ambassadors grow mustaches. Have them talk about it for a month at a time. I think they've been really sort of forward in that thinking. So when we come back to this, the campaign was called, it was a ballsy campaign. It was called Know Thy Nuts. And I think what we were looking to do is find creative that breaks through the clutter. And this wasn't creative that we did, this came from the client, but I think does a really good job of sort of stopping people, having them think, and getting them to talk. This should play.
Your nuts. We know you see them regularly, but how well do you really know these 2? Most of us don't really know our nuts at all. In fact, 70% of men either never have or don't regularly check their nuts. Why is it important to know thy nuts? Because for young men around the world, testicular cancer is one of the most common forms of cancer. That's why we're asking men to give their nuts the recognition they deserve. Get to know what feels normal and head to a doctor if something feels irregular. It's time to give your nuts a voice. Because knowing your nuts might just save your life. Know thy nuts. Movember, changing the face of men's health.
So, I find that very funny. I don't know if the rest of you guys do. It's okay to laugh, right? It's a ridiculous way to talk about cancer. But it works. It breaks through the clutter. And I will say this, as you know, I run a digital ad agency. I might need Kathy to come back up here and run through all the acronyms that she had earlier. But we care so much about measurable, direct, attributable results that sometimes we forget the other side of the spectrum. And that is, you know, if people smile and they like it, they're going to pay attention. And I think the way Movember goes after it is they say, we're going to use digital as the tool, but we're not driving click-throughs to a static page. We're just getting people to sort of think about it for 15, 30 seconds, and then hopefully take some action. And then what I think that Movember does nice is they sort of get in on a joke, right? And then they take it one step further. So this was some soap we were selling. It sells out very fast. But this idea of like sort of extending, right? And the ads are unexpected. They come at you a few different ways. And people loved it, just reading some of these in case it's small. You know, we're getting these men, again, who don't care to talk about testicular cancer. And what you see here is a friend is undergoing surgery to remove one next week. It's no joke matter. We're all hoping everything goes well for him. Cancer affects all of us in one way or the other, right? People talked about it. They tagged their friends. They got involved. And the viralness of this campaign was something, you know, you don't see it that often on cause-related messages. And then there was this troll, Stephen Paul, who thinks that the ads were obnoxious, and I think he would be very surprised that 600 of us are sitting around talking about it because he thinks we need professional marketing advice. So we got young men to care, and the numbers were great. And we, in this limited campaign, first year, we generated over 11 million impressions, and the ads were all kind of like this. Like, I think this is an Instagram story or a Snapchat story, but it was basically like very much focused around like jokes and humors. I love the fact that we got almost 1 million people to watch the entire clip, right? That's not video starts, that's video completions. So when people started, they were kind of sucked in, right? And they stayed engaged. And then the engagement rate, 12,500 reactions. So we were getting people to like, comment, share. We turned over 5,300 of them into ambassadors. And if you look at what's in your newsfeed, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, it's very rarely about like medicine, right? It's vacations and jokes and political news and sports updates, but it's not people saying, hey, we should all care about testicular cancer. So even that number, it's not, you know, it's not tens of millions or hundreds of millions. It's a small number, but we were, with our limited budget, able to get people to care. And I think we got through. Like, people would tag their friends. They got in on the joke. They'd start referring to it as ballsy campaigns. David Patton here has committed to checking his family jewels once a month. So the message got through. And if you're wondering why I think there's a pair of walnuts on everyone's table. We would ask you to enjoy your nuts and take them with you, all right? So thank you for your attention today.